Well, wow. I don't know what it's been like for you, but the last 3 or 4 months, whew, wow. I just emotionally, physically, in some ways, socially, globally, it's been really, well, weird or different or dangerous or shocking. Wow, I've had somewhat of a challenging 3 months myself. I hope all of you have done better than I have, but probably not, because we're all in this together at some level. So I want to give you a little bit of an update and somewhat of a follow through on where I am, because part of my commitment in the last 12 months has been really to kind of keep you abreast of what I'm going through as I'm applying this, well, experiment of unifying each month of the year in the last year. This is the 12th month, to connect it with every other month that follows. Whoa. At first, there was some times where I wasn't even sure if I was going to encourage you to do or not to do any of this, because it becomes quite self-evident that if you have even a small desire to want to grow, live, be happier, healthier, more alive, whatever, and you start to address that by a commitment to activity to feel, grow, faith, prayer, whatever that is, then things begin to move. They've been moving for me at such a rate. I had my doubts in this last 2 months, but now I've reached a point, which is for me in the Northern Hemisphere, the second week of the 5-girl month, basically August. And that's the last month of 12 months in a row of practicing, feeling, and linking the emotional, physical, family tree significance of each month into the next month. There's a lot of things I didn't know. I didn't know that each month is almost not connected to the previous month. In fact, most months are not connected to the previous month or the month behind it. They're not automatically connected, even though in time and space and energy, yes, June is connected to July, that's connected to August, and so on and so on, and summer leads into autumn and winter and spring again. Yes, they're all connected, but no, they're not connected. I did not know that the various systems inside me were not connected. I'm seeing it a lot better now than I ever have. But then it brought me back to this chart. And I realized that in the early 1980s, late 1970s, when I first began to enter into the iris and this world, one of the things I was led to do, and did it enthusiastically and passionately in those months, even the early years of 1980, when I was in my early 30s, I studied this chart. I studied it not so much for the physicality of the locations, the spine, the nerves, the glands and organs, all their locations or names or purposes or symptoms. And you can have this chart, by the way, and there are better ones on the internet, but I'll give you this one. It'll be available in the files section on RAYID International. You can look at it, and I urge you to gradually appreciate the significance of each one of these physical glands and organs, and their likely location in different parts of the spine as they go all the way up to the top of the head and so on. This is what 12 months begins to do. 12 months in a row, I didn't realize it when I began, was really about connecting all of these. And I'm hoping to make your journey a little easier or faster, rather than me clawing my way to the top of the mountain. I at least would like to make a ladder, or if we get really lucky with some of your help, maybe we get to make a gondola or a elevator to the top for those who come later. That's my aspiration, just to do something like that. Now, I want you to know I really appreciate those of you who communicate, most of you in private, little texts here, there, or an email, or we have a conversation on Skype or whatever, but always private. I would prefer at times that you chose to make some of those statements or questions in public so we could have a mutual or collective opportunity to enjoy this journey a little better. And I want you to know that I really do appreciate the willingness of you to even observe the process from the outside without doing anything, because you don't really know what's going to happen if you start doing some of the things I'm suggesting you might try. But I'm going to also apologize for not encouraging you more, because I've begun to realize some very significant things. And I'll come up with a greater review of this process over the coming months, but really this won't be done this first year until 3 more months. Every month needs 3 more months to fulfill its connection to the other side of the family tree, but that's a whole nother part of it. Part of my process with you is I'm sorry for not encouraging you a bit more, because I really wasn't sure. So in the process of processing my own triggers, you know that if you get involved in the sincere desire to want to grow as a soul, as a being, as a consciousness, in whatever form that you currently believe it to be, if you sincerely start to want to grow, what comes right away, very soon, is the opportunity to experience all of your limitations. If you have a sincere desire for truth, you're going to right away experience those unresolved emotions that interfere in your opportunity to have higher and higher levels of truth. So if you want higher and higher levels of truth, you actually need to have higher and higher levels of humility. And then in order to have higher and higher levels of humility, you need higher and higher capacities to feel. And there's a whole series of things that are part of the desire to feel. So in order to grow in feeling and in humility and in aspiration and in the love of truth, to come higher into the reality of your authentic self, you need to process some of the unresolved emotions that stay hidden inside of you that cause impulses constantly. I didn't realize that we are enmeshed in constant emotional impulses. I mean, it's obvious. I need impulses to keep my lungs breathing and my O2 levels high enough and digest my food and keep my posture, keep my body temperature. Yes, those interior mechanisms are very important. Excuse me. You're more important in the moment. So part of this process is, how do I increase the capacity to feel? How do I go into the increasing experience of inhabiting my own feeling and consciousness? Now, strangely enough, I'm going to say to you that in order to sense more feeling is going to be related to the sensation functions of each of the glands and organs and body systems inside you. A lot of people would think, I just need to increase my mental function. I need to increase my meditation. I need to do visualizations. I need to do that, breathe more, go to God, forget the body function. Don't worry about eating. Don't worry about body chemistry. Don't worry about vibrations. Just go higher. You can do that. I did that. I wouldn't recommend that you do it again. I'm recommending that you consider something more. I'm recommending that you consider occupying a higher and higher percentage of the feelings that you are as a being, no matter what you want to call that, consciousness, soul, conscience, source, or higher. You can call it anything you want, but the experience of it, from my now personal experience, is occupy more of the attention or feeling on the inside of you physically. So yes, at the top of this is the eye. We'll come back to that in a moment. All these are glands and organs in their associated areas, but these are the sensing mechanisms. You can call them supersensory if you want, but they are capable of cooperating with the other experiences of sensation, which is not just the sense of touch, but the sense of presence, the sense of feeling. All of these are involved in every other system, including compassion, empathy, higher consciousness, and so on and so on. I'm suggesting that you do this. Now, my commitment to you is over the next year, starting in September, when we start the new lunar cycle of the continuation of this, the second year for me and some of you who've been doing this, bold and intrepid souls that you might be, that you've been doing this, I encourage anyone to start anytime you want, but I'm encouraging you to be able to appreciate not only the month that you're on and the organ that it relates to. So every one of these areas, all these glands and organs are going to be related to a time of the day and a season of the year. And yes, it's going to be related to a grandmother or grandfather, relationships, and so on, all in this dynamic. I'm encouraging you to come to this chart. Now, later on, I'm setting in motion. I'll give you video clips. There's some wonderful video clips now of all of this. Video clips of the circulatory system, the heart functioning, the liver functioning. You'll be able to go into the vagina and ovaries and testicles and coccyx, and you'll be able to look at the nervous system, all of them from different diameters, different directions, in a way that I couldn't have done. Late 70s, early 80s, the only way I could get pictures of these was to cut them out of medical books and then photograph them and put them up for slides. Okay, that dates me, doesn't it, right? No internet, nothing, no Google. We had the Encyclopedia Britannica, which I had to cut some of them apart in order to get, well, anyway, that's me whining a bit, I'm sorry. I'm saying right now, we can use these cyber abilities. Of all of these are on different YouTube videos, and I'm going to put them together for you so you can have them. But I'm also going to encourage you to consider what the higher function might be of each one of these according to my current experience. And I'm not telling you that my current experience is the end-all be-all. It's not. Because my current experience is interwoven with all of my unfinished business in my own social dynamics of my mother's family and my father's family. No, I have a long ways to go. Don't get that wrong at all. I need a lot of personal work. And so I'm doing my personal work with an aspiration that it leads into something useful that you can share. So part of the thing I've noticed, and this is the part where I need to apologize at some level, because I've been a little bit of a wimp, afraid of giving you something that you can test on your own and not do it or not. But I need to give you the choice of doing it rather than withholding from you something that I'm like concerned that if I give it to you, it's like giving, you the keys to a train or keys to a jet or something. But if you want to grow in some form or another, this is what I'm doing. So here's what I noticed. You remember the thousands and thousands of impulses that keep all of this functioning? There are trillions of impulses that keep all of this functioning all the time. Now, all of those impulses are interwoven into nerves, glands, body system, but they're interwoven into your family tree. How far? As far as I can tell, a long ways. 7 generations on a physical level. 3 generations behind you, 3 generations in front of you. Whether or not you have kids or grandkids, yes, you have 3 more generations into the future that you're influencing right now by the belief systems, attitudes, addictions, facades, behavior, loving or unloving, that you're transmitting to the future. So yes, you have 3 generations in the future that you can change pretty quickly. You can change those right away simply by having a desire to want to examine them and the sincere desire to want to no longer do any form of harm to anybody in the future, intentionally or ignorantly. And by the way, I'm still damaging the future because I'm still holding, as far as I can calculate, somewhere between 30 and 200 false belief systems that I acquired genetically or socially or otherwise. I'm still acting on unresolved feelings, so far I can determine, that went all the way back to the 1500s. No, it's not from a previous incarnation. It's from an ancestor in the 1500s. I'm a direct, literal ancestor of the experience of Sir Francis Drake and so on, and I have certain impulses inside me from that time period. I need to learn how to filter some. Why do you want to filter? You want to learn to filter anything that's unloving and that's not yours from beyond your 3 generations. 3 generations behind you, very strongly related to your physicality, and you're going to have to deal with them whether you like it or not, because they're very much involved in creating all of the central nervous system bone function. Their genetics are already there. They're operating inside of you. They're very, very strong. We'll get to that one in a moment. But the other ones, do you really want to receive all of the human cruelty that's ever gone on before you? Do you really want to take on all of the male, female, sociological, emotional, physical violence? Of course not, right? But there's a certain level where you have to choose to recognize it for what it is and leave it there. You don't need to involve yourself directly in it. You can. I have in the past, and I was paralyzed for a while. I mean, literally, because I did some dumb things about wanting to take it on. I'll tell you that one another time, but no, I don't recommend that you take on mass consciousness, but you can't ignore it. You can't say male, female inequity, social, political, economic cruelty, racism, bitterness, and war has not gone on. And you're not going to make it go away by ignoring it. Sorry, you need to be able to go, okay, I get it. It's there. I need to learn how to acknowledge it's there, but not engage it. Now, later on, I'll go more into how I feel how that works. I'm still learning myself. What I'm going to say to you is, okay, yeah, it's there. You may want to figure out how to do it right now if you want, but I'm suggesting that before you take on too much of that, build up the integrity of your personal ladder, your own self, your own personal experience of how you inhabit your physicality. Now, your physicality is not completely built by you. It's built by the fingerprint of your soul in the pristine silence before you ever incarnated. You've got a genetic blueprint of soul-based perfection somewhere inside you. We all do, because I'm a unique soul, you're a unique soul. Every soul is completely unique and has their own, my opinion, divine fingerprint. Just to appreciate that that can exist, even to theoretically try and ask about it or not, or whatever you want to do, but for me it exists. Where I have to get over my sense of failure is I really haven't encouraged you quite enough, because I was afraid. I was afraid of hurting people if I gave them the wrong thing to do, and they went there, or they went crazy, or they did that, or they yada yada. No. I'm going to tell you what I'm doing a little more thoroughly and let you decide for yourself. Does it make sense? Is it logical? Can I experiment with it? Do I just want to watch this idiot do it for another year to see if he's still alive? You can, by the way. No, you probably don't call me an idiot, or you wouldn't be on the channel, but do you want to wait another year or 3 to see if this works okay for me? You can. And I'm not suggesting that you have to start over where I started over 40 years ago. You can start now using the things that are most useful, practical, present, and capable for you to do for free. Feel, breathe, ask, have faith, activate, work, examine, experiment, but you have to have some sense of passion to do it. So remember I was saying how there's all these impulses going by all the time? Well, by the process of wanting to feel every trigger, not blame the trigger on something from the past, not blame it on your ancestors, not blame it on your childhood, not blame it on your parents, not blame it on your grandparents, not blame it on your soul karma from another lifetime. No, you can put it all the way back there if you want, but I don't recommend it. That you accept it in the moment, just for a moment. It's your experience to feel. That you don't put it outside your boundaries, because if you transport it outside of your personal heart, feeling, etheric, astral space, and you send it away from you, you're actually damaging 3 generations into the future, and you're damaging people around you. And spirits, whether you know it or not, use every single projection as either some kind of nourishment or some kind of fuel to hurt somebody else. So for example, if I have a rage-oriented, if I just get rageful and I project it, it's utilized by spirits. I know that's a hard concept to believe in, but if I'm aggressively rageful, angry, hurtful, attacking, and hateful toward anything or anyone, whether it's an individual or a group or a cluster, or the haves or the have-nots or the elites, the whatever I'm going to be angry at, I'm transmitting it. Now, if I decide not to do that, and I'm just going to keep all it, and I'm going to direct it toward myself, that doesn't work either. You can't attack yourself. You can't attack them. So what are you going to do? Feel it. Have a little faith. Just have a little faith. Move it through. Later on, you'll understand the difference between moving it through, liberating it, restoring it to its rightful place, or filtering it because it's not really important for you to take on everybody else's suffering in the galaxy. Or further, right? So this is part of the process. Now, where I got to in this was gradually over 12 months, my impulses began to change. And I noticed I don't have the same attraction to meat as I once did. I don't have the same attraction to ice cream or French fries. I still like them sometimes. But I notice I'm not really triggered by things as much. I can watch something that would have been scary on television or a movie, and I don't have as much reaction. I know now it's fake. You know it's fake, but you still react. I notice myself just plain not being triggered by as much, but my impulses are quieting in some form or another. And I go, wait, am I losing desire? Well, yes, the reality is 99% of the time or higher, I'm engaged in regurgitating unresolved emotions in some form or another, and I'm constantly creating desire to do one thing or the other, or to have an impulse to eat, do this, go there, meet that person, all to replicate, reproduce, and increase the same desire. If I keep the same desire moving, it's going to continue even when I'm not looking at it. I need to resolve unresolved emotions. Okay, I'll lead you up to another place and we'll call it a day. The other part of it is, I realized after a while, wow, what do I actually desire? Wow, okay, so if it's not French fries, I still, don't get me wrong, I still like a lot of things biochemically, socially, sexually, and otherwise. Even some music I even still like, even though that's even less and less. What do I actually desire? Sincerely desire? I would have said before, warp factor 9, Scotty, off to God. No, I mean, you have to be older to understand what warp factor 9 is. No, it's beam me up. No, that's still old. I don't even know how to use, I mean, like, my desire was to go to God until, God says, get a job. Or learn how to live in your body. And then I also had an experience, a very personal one, about what was it that I used to feel most passionate about. It's at the top of this, the I. I used to have a burning passion to feel, experience, and study the I, the iris. I still am. I work in optometry offices, looking at people's eyes, but in a way they've never heard of, but I'm invited to do that. Yeah, well, anyway, the I. My personal passion was to learn to feel and know another soul. I know that may not sound like something you really want to do or not, but I had a passion for wanting to know, and one day, I'm still not there, learn how to love another soul. Tens of thousands, literally, times I've looked at irises in various parts of the world, and the underlying passion was the appreciation, study, and the beauty of the divine fingerprint of that person's existence that is reflected in their iris. So I have to warn you, I'm about to do a new iris study. that's kind of where I am today. I will tell you more about that at another time, but I encourage you to ask yourself, what are you genuinely passionate about? And then ask for the divine truth and earnestly examine what is the underlying motive or the impulse for wanting to study that or do that. Only you can do it, to examine what your own interior motives are to want to do the type of activity or career or function. What do you really want to do for the next 1,000 years or 10,000? Because it's the same thing. The sincere desire to grow, be alive, fulfill, play. So I'm sorry I have not been as, intrinsically motivated as I could be. And now I seek to correct that and add a little bit more fire to the menu, passion. So over this coming year, because it turns out that this is the second year of going through this cycle, I'm encouraging you to start here. If you start in September in the Northern Hemisphere, or you start in the autumn of next year in the Southern Hemisphere, you start at the next equinox. I'm encouraging you to start here rather than wait. Build up your inner desire to feel more of you, relate it to your interior functions of meridians and nerves and lymph systems and gland organ body systems and consciousness, and relate it to your I. So I'm going to have something to say about your iris, if you're so interested to let me re-examine that little sucker again. For those of you who've had the experience, I'm going to do a whole new iris interpretation approach. So that's what I have to say today. Just wait another day or two and I'll probably have something else to say, because this is a really busy season. There's a lot of stuff going on. So we might as well just get it in gear and go. Can't sit around, can't be old all the time. All right. Talk to you soon. Thanks for coming.